Hey, what's up, Josh? Dude, I'll be praying for your rock. Excited for you, man. God's doing some big things through your leadership, through the local church there in Fuquay and your capital area. And J. Cole dropped an album, so a lot of momentum for you. Just kidding about that last part. But I kind of hit on your question in my initial post, just because I tackled the whole, the revelation end time kind of topic. But I want to add a couple things to that. Really appreciate your thoughts. And I do agree with you that the theological predispositions that people have can get a little goofy. And again, it's not bad, but I think if we put God in our boxes, then you're absolutely right. We can water down or even turn off the faucet in some places when it comes to the prophetic. None of us come to the book of Revelation or Daniel with a blank slate. We all bring our own baggage, church history, predispositions based on our theology. And it's not necessarily a weakness, it's just a reality. So I love Grant Osborne in the hermeneutical spiral, how he makes the point that we all interpret from within a theological horizon. So the key isn't pretending we don't have one. We just got to own it. We got to be self-aware and test our presuppositions against the text, which is something I had to do recently in order to map out our preaching calendar. I'm actually planning to preach through the book of Revelation from the amillennial progressive parallelism perspective. I think that framework, I've been talking with, Jonathan, wrestling with some ideas. We've done 7 letters to 7 churches. We always preach the kingdom, but I felt the need for the church in Newport News because I get all these different people from different theological backgrounds, and everything's just heightened right now. It feels like everyone's thinking that Israel's surrounded and AI is the perfect tool, and our mobile devices, which we can record and share content all around the globe, create a vehicle where if Jesus were to come back in a physical way, everyone would turn their phone on and then everyone would see him, right? So I wanted to kind of like demystify, but also like dial back some of the conspiracy theory and speculation that people wrestle with in their hearts. So a couple things. First, we got to take apocalyptic literature seriously. What I love about progressive parallelism, basically it says that the different cycles we see in the Revelation aren't necessarily in chronological order. They're just a retelling of the same story that has been happening and will keep happening and will keep intensifying until Christ returns. I think that's helpful because I think it'll help people process and maybe throw away some of those charts that our good buddy John Hagee and his ministry helped guide people with for decades. But again, these visionary cycles that retell the same period between the church age of Christ's first and second coming, kind of like our gospels where we get 4 different point of views on the ministry of Jesus. I think these 7 cycles that we see in the Revelation are 7 points of view on the same thing, the same story, the same meta narrative that has been playing throughout those time periods. The millennium in Revelation 20, again, we got to keep Christ as the central figure instead of constantly trying to align headlines with symbols and just chasing the beast. We need to remember the reign of Christ, that he is ruling and reigning now. And so I understand the millennium in Revelation 20 symbolically pointing to Christ's present reign and the binding of Satan in a redemptive historical sense. I think it fits well in something we preach, the already and not yet tension. And again, we see that throughout the New Testament. Third thing I would offer is just the idea of pastorally, to your question, Josh. I think I feel the burden, and I think we should all feel the burden to strengthen endurance. That is what Pastor John of Patmos was trying to get across. He was trying to build resiliency in these churches to not compromise, to weather the storm of persecution, tribulation, to not chase after false teachers, to not be bound to government allegiance, and also to advance the kingdom. So it's primary about helping the church remain faithful during these reoccurring cycles of beastly power. So again, I don't feel a personal burden to decode a future 7-year window of like, okay, let me get raptured up and the church has to be out of here. I get it. I think what D.A. Carson warns of in Exegetical Fallacies about overly confident, system-driven readings. So for me, adopting the amillennial progressive parallelism view is less about forcing the text to fit into a system. It's about asking what reading best accounts for the genre, so apocalyptic literature, but he also chose epistles, so these are letters to churches, the structure, the original audience, what was going on in the life of those churches. I also think this view allows Revelation to function as it was intended, a call to allegiance, a call to perseverance, a call to place our hope in the present reign of Jesus. So 100% agree with you, bro. Theological predisposition absolutely affects interpretation. And I think a good question, again, just self-reflection here, is whether our framework helps us see the text more clearly or whether it makes us read things into the text, which is where we really got to do some work. So love you, bro. Dr. Carlo, correct me, because I really do want to preach the Revelation this fall, starting in September timeframe. So if you got any guidance, or hey, don't ever preach amillennial progressive parallelism because that's heresy, please let me know. Love you guys. Peace.